Welcome to video 7 in my Intro to HTML web video series. In this video I'm going to talk a little bit about links. I'm going to talk about relative links and absolute links, and I'm going to show you how to make them. We've talked about absolute links before, but I don't think I used that terminology. I think I just called it a link to the internet. An absolute link takes us to a specific place on a specific server somewhere on the internet. It provides what's called an absolute path. A path is, well, you can think of it as a road that your computer travels through the internet to get to a place. And the path looks like this: http://www.google.com. That's a path. Paths can look all sorts of different ways, but this is just one type of path. This is an absolute path to the IP address that hosts this Google server. Okay? So let's break this down. A link is made up of a couple parts. First of all, it's got to have some content. The content is, in this case, is going to be some text. You can use images as content. You can use all sorts of stuff as content. But in this case, we're going to use text. This will be a link. It is going to be the text that will turn into a link. In order to make it into a hyperlink, we have to surround it by the A tags. Open the A tag, close the A tag. A stands for anchor tag. Now the anchor tag doesn't really turn things into a hyperlink until you add the hyperlink reference, or the href attribute. The href attribute modifies the A tag so that it becomes active. It becomes clickable and it takes you down a path to some place on the internet. Href attribute looks like this. It starts off with href equals, and then it's got some quotation marks, and inside the quotation marks is the path. The path will take us to that place on the internet. So this one will take us to Google. It's got to have the http://www.google.com. That's the full path. So if I run the browser, I click on the link, it takes me to Google. Now, what is the HTTP thing for anyways? HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It's a little piece of code that takes us off of this computer and brings us onto the internet. If I don't have this Hypertext Transfer Protocol, we're never actually getting off of the internet. What's going to happen is this link will look for a file in the same folder that links file, that the one that I'm working on, is saved in, called www.google.com. So I'll refresh this in the browser and click on it, and it says it's broken. The web page is not found for the address, long path, blah 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 blah, www.google.com. So essentially what it's looking for is in C:, which is the hard drive of my computer, users, Seagull, documents, web design, all of that stuff, /w in that folder. It's looking in that folder for something called www.google.com. If we look in that folder, there's nothing in there called www.google.com. So the web page is not found. All we have in here is something called links. So in order to make an absolute link to the internet work, you need to have the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, or the http://. That's that key to opening the door to the internet. So we provide a true path, an absolute path to someplace on the internet. So that's an absolute link. Absolute links and relative links are different. A relative link is going to try and reference something that's on the same server or something that might move around in space. Usually it's going to be in the same folder and the same server as the file that you're currently working on. So the file that I'm currently working on is called links. Okay? It's in this folder called Unit 3 Links and Images, and the file is called links. I'm going to create a couple of new files. An easy way to create a new file, and we saw this before when using templates, is I can take a file that I'm working on and go File, Save As, and then give it another name. Page 1. Make sure you've got HTML. Save it. And you can see that the file name changed up here on the tab. But what really happened is it created a new file with the exact same format, the exact same content, the exact same tags, everything in the same folder. Okay, so I've got my links file and my page 1 file. They're exactly the same. So if I were to open up links in here, you can see it's exactly the same as page 1. It's just creating a duplicate. Now on page 1, I'm going to add some things. I'm going to add a style sheet really quickly. And I'm going to change the background color of the body. I suppose I need to select body, don't I? But you probably knew that because you have already mastered the last unit. So I've selected body, changed the background color to red. Now I'm going to add an H1 in here that's going to announce that this is page 1. Welcome to page 1. So save this, refresh it in the browser, and I've got my H1, red background, and my link that takes me to Google. I'm going to change that link to Google to a relative link. But first, I need to create a new page. File, Save As, and I'm going to call this one page 2. And what happened is it changed the name up here on the tab, create a new file in this same folder, and now I need to bring page 1 back in here. So I've got page 1 open and page 2 open in the browser. Okay. Page 2, I'm going to change things a little bit. Background color orange, page 2 right there. Okay, so how do we make this into a relative link? In order to make it into a relative link, all we have to do is we have to change the path. I'm going to make a relative path. It's as easy as that. page2.html. What this is saying is that it's going to look for a file called page2.html in the same folder where page 1 is saved. Okay? I'll go to page 2 and make the same type of changes. So I'm going to change the absolute path to a relative path. Page1.html. This will be a link to page 1. So let's see if it actually works. Save page 1, refresh it in the browser. It says this will be a link to page 2, so that changed. And hey, that took me to page 2. Let's see if my link back to page 1 worked. Hey, it worked. All right. This is a relative link. What's actually happening here is these hyperlink references are looking for a file that follows this path, page2.html. So it's looking for a file called page2.html in the same folder where page 1 is saved. So if I look at my folder, page 1 and 2 are certainly in there. So when I click on that link from page 1, it just shuffles me over to page 2. Now the cool thing about relative links is that if I remove these from this folder and I put them in a different folder, like this, they'll still work. Because what it's doing is it's looking for a file in the same folder with that name. So this page 1 is looking for a file called page 2 in the same folder where page 1 is saved. So it works. Now the important thing about relative links when you do it this way is that you have to have the files in the same folder. If I move page 2 into Unit 3 links and images, so page 1 and page 2 aren't in the same folder anymore, my link no longer works. It's looking for that page 2 file in that Documents, Web Design, Video, and Curriculum 2012 folder, and it can't find it. Can't find it at all. So you've got to make sure that if you create relative links in this way, the pages that you're linking are in the same folder. So page 1 and 2 are in the same folder. if I redo this, let's do this again, it works now that they're in the same folder. So that's relative links and absolute links. Remember, an absolute link takes us to a specific place on the internet. It follows a path to a specific IP address, to a specific server, and looks for something there. A relative link will look for a file in a specified location on your computer, and that location may change. You saw that when we dragged the files to another location, the link still worked. The important thing with relative links, when you do it the way I've demonstrated, is that the files have to be in the same location on the computer. So they need to be in the same folder. Thanks for watching.